Good morning, good morning, good morning. Peace and blessings. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless, and I'm back with another video. Peace and blessings, everybody. Hope everybody enjoying their Wednesday, you know. But yeah, man, as the title says, Road to Redemption, Why Larry Hoover Should Be Free, Part 1. I wanted to do a series about this. And I wanted to try to come, show my face and everything like that, real moment. But in any event, man, let's get into the commentary. The reason why I wanted to start this series is because word has it that Larry Hoover has had 3 heart attacks recently since he's been moved from federal prison. His sentence was commuted by the President Trump, and he still had a case in the state of Illinois. So he's removed from federal custody to state prison, which is a huge difference. So let's rewind it a little bit. Larry Hoover initially was caught a case back in the early 70s, I think like 1972, for a murder, or unaliving, that he himself did not commit, but they say that he gave the order, right? 1972. So it's centered around something around the fact of someone selling or stealing drugs, and what all comes with that lifestyle. They say that he allegedly put the hit out for somebody else to commit the unaliving. So when they sentenced Larry Hoover, he had upwards of 150 to 200 years, and the guy that actually did the unaliving was sentenced to something similar. Since then, the guy that actually did it had been released. Now, rest in peace to the guy that lost his life. Terrible. We know what comes with that lifestyle, though, right? But rest in peace to that man, and my condolences to the family. That happened in early 70s, right? Now, fast forward to the 90s, they say he was orchestrating. He was still running the Gangster Disciples from jail, from state prison. And they rounded up a whole bunch of other guys and females around that time under the conspiracy, racketeering. And from then, they gave him, on a federal level, 6 consecutive life sentences for conspiracy and racketeering. Was then placed in solitary confinement since, I believe, like 1996, right? In federal prison. So I made a post on Facebook saying that I wanted to start a campaign to raise awareness to free Larry Hoover, to put pressure on the governor of Illinois to give this man house arrest or something so he can go home. Because like I said at the beginning, he has 3 heart attacks since he's been in state custody. It's a big difference between state and federal prison, especially if he was 24 and 1. Now, I got a lot of mixed reactions on my Facebook. You know, on my page, my Facebook page be lit, y'all. But you know, I put it in groups, and one of the groups in particular, it was a whole bunch of people coming at me like, "Man, nah, we ain't no free no Larry Hoover. All the stuff he did in his life, and this, that, and the third, and all the pain he caused to the black community, and this, that, and the third." I hear that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, well, wait a minute now. I hear what y'all saying, but on the flip side, let's look at this. This was 1971, 1972. This 2025. So my thing is this. At what point do we give people a second chance at life? We could talk about all the bad that someone has done, but you ain't got nothing good to say. I would say this. Being someone that has made mistakes in my life at a young age, when Larry Hoover called his case, initial case, he was only early 20s. Probably wasn't even 25 years old. That man's 70 years old now. At what point do we say, "Man, give him a shot"? You know, he got a family, he got sons and grandchildren, right? So if it ain't just for him, what about his children that would want to give him a hug? What about his wife? What about his grandchildren that heard all this stuff about their granddad, but they never got a chance to sit down and talk to him themselves, right? Now, the Trump administration is the one that was responsible for giving him clemency on the federal level. So he's basically been time considered served as far as the feds are concerned. And then now, since he had remaining time, 150 years, he had remaining time in the state penitentiary to serve. They sent him to Illinois State Penitentiary. And there, it's totally different. Because now you have to work, you have to do labor to, to be in state prison. In the feds, he was 23 and 1, he was to himself, but now he's around all these different individuals, other inmates. He has to try to fit into this new uh, environment at his age. Now, all the stuff he's done, you can't find nothing good. Now, I know this for a fact. That man said that he was no longer calling it gangster disciple. He changed the acronym to growth and development. I know a lot of people that benefited from his literature that didn't have father figures, but his literature helped give them some type of structure in their life as young black men in urban communities. I was blessed to have a father, but I know certain things that he implemented in certain teachings, growth and development. A lot of people in urban communities benefited from that knowledge, where they are law-abiding taxpayer citizens. They fathers to their children. Make no mistake, those words of wisdom, that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that he gave through his teachings helped a lot of people. We want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about the fact that he said, "I'm no longer the leader of no gang. I don't promote anything but black people to do, young black men to be positive and be positive role models and father figures to their children and leaders in their community for something positive." Are we saying that everybody deserves a second chance but Larry Hoover? I don't know, man. I don't know how people could be so heartless to see, like, what is he gonna do at 70 something years old? What kind of, you know, what kind of different, uh, what could he do at 70 years old? What kind of, I don't see nothing different than him being a positive influence and coming from somebody that made mistakes in their life before. You know, when I was at a similar age, I was in a similar situation where I made mistakes and I had to pay the consequences of my mistakes at my age that I was at the time. 25 years later, due to the fact that I was given a second chance, you see me where I'm at right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm a taxpaying citizen. I'm a father. I was given a chance to do the right thing, and I did it. And a lot of people come from that. And I don't know, like a lot of people that's saying he shouldn't be free, I don't think they ever sat and talked to somebody that was sentenced to life in prison. I don't think they know what that life is like, or maybe they forgot that you're treated like a animal in there. That man served this. I mean, rest in peace to the brother that lost his life 50 something years ago. You can't put no price on that. But what I can say is that man has shown every sign that he is being redeemed, and he is at a certain age where we don't know how much time he got left. And saying that Larry Hoover should be free, it don't just stop with Larry Hoover. I'm speaking for all men that are incarcerated that deserve a second chance at life. Man, I've sat and talked to people that were never coming home that looked at me and said, young man, you got a second chance. When you get out there, man, leave all that alone, man. You come from a good home, you got good family, you got support. Don't bring your ass back in here. Stay on the straight and narrow. And coming from them, knowing that they been through everything, it resonated with me. Now, Larry Hoover, coming from the background that he got, you don't think that he can speak to some of the youth? If he say one life with his wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, love, life, loyalty. I mean, his literature taught silence and secrecy. He told men to don't speak too much. He even told men, hey, them rules, personal hygiene. These are things that young men in urban communities didn't get from a father that wasn't blessed to have a father. That literature raised them. Now, it might not have been perfect example, but that was something that they benefited from. And now, a lot of people that come from that ilk, law-abiding citizens. Like I said, man, take care of their families, pillars in their community. I think it'll do, and even if it's not just for the community, what about his family? What does that say for somebody else that's trying to get out of that situation? If he could be a shining example of redemption, what about his family that can spend whatever time he got left on this planet? He paid his debt to society. 50 something years, almost 60 years, being treated like an animal at this point for a decision, a mistake that he made in his youth. A mistake that he made when he was just a kid himself, barely 20 something years old. So what are we saying? People can't change. People can't be reformed. People can't be an example for the next generation. I hear people saying, "Oh, when he get out, uh, some young, YN's gonna want to take him out for a name." I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Long as he ain't out trying to tell these, run no organization and nothing, and he'd already denounced it. Man, I'm not no leader of no gang or none of that. Whatever people do, don't. If you do something, don't do it in my name. He done said that back in the 90s. He was trying to get black people through 21st century vote. He was trying to get black people more focused on politics. And what's weird about that, soon as he started talking political, that's when the indictments came on from the federal government. So was it more about running the gang, or was it more about enlightening the community to get more politically astute, to get more politically involved, to pay attention to policy and not just identity politics? Republican, Democrat, don't matter. We don't vote off party. We don't vote off identity. We vote off policy. He was trying to get people to think in the black community. You don't think that's a crazy coincidence? I think Larry Hoover would be a great example. Now, the lady that is in charge of President Trump's department, where they consider people to be pardoned or released or have some type of leniency from prison, is Alice Marie Johnson, a black woman, a black lady that was incarcerated back in the 90s, that was given an unfair sentence. Alice Marie Johnson, a sister, she was sentenced to like a life sentence too. And back when Trump was in office in his first term, back in like 2018, 2019, he pardoned her. Kim Kardashian raised concern about her case because they felt like they overcharged her for a phone call that was tapped and labeled her some type of drug queen or queen pin or something like that. Alice Marie Johnson, look it up. Maybe when we get in part 2, because I'm gonna do a series on this. Alice Marie Johnson was incarcerated for basically a life sentence. Kim Kardashian and some other people reached out to President Trump to see about getting her a pardon. Trump looked over the case and he pardoned her, gave her a second chance at life. Not only did he pardon her, he made her part of his administration this time around while he's in office to oversee people that have been either unjustly incarcerated, convicted, or overcharged by the judicial system. What a beautiful thing to have a black woman that has been through the system, been through that type of injustice. Maybe she probably should have served a little bit of time, but they gave her too much time. And they realized that, and that's back when Democrats and Republicans reached across the aisle and actually worked with each other on some level to get things done. So being that they reached across the aisle and made this happen, this sister has brought several cases, thousands of cases before the president, saying that they need some type of relief or to be released. And one of those cases just so happened to be Larry Hoover. Shout out to Jennifer Bajin. She's an attorney. The same attorney that was representing R. Kelly. They like, man, this man been in prison so long. We need to get him out of there. This is starting to be inhumane at this point. A senior citizen that been in there this long, that didn't physically unalive nobody himself. So when Alice Marie brought this before Trump commuted his sentences, basically saying, okay, You free from federal custody. Time considered served. You got over 50 something years incarcerated. Time considered served, bro. And due to the fact that he still had that case lingering from the 1970s, because see, make no mistake, all them people all them govs and regions and all that in the 90s, when they came through and took all the people from Chicago that was, wrapped up in that indictment, all them people home. One of my homegirls, her uncle was caught off in that. He was a gov over one of the areas, and he been home about 5-6 years. Maybe he been home about 10 years. Everybody else that was wrapped up in that is home and been home for decades. Why is he still sitting there, especially at the age he's at? Do we not believe in redemption? Do we put a limitation on forgiveness for people? Especially someone that hasn't done anything directly to anybody that they can prove. Everything is, he gave the order, or he said this, or he said that. How do we know that? How do we know? Or maybe the feds pressured a lot of people to say that he gave the order. I'm just saying, we know how they play. But the thing about it is, normally when the federal government give an order like this, to say, hey, man, time considered served, normally the state follows that. But in this case, Governor Pritzker has been silent on it. I seen Larry Hoover Jr., one of his sons, pleading with the governor of Illinois, man, come on, man. My dad, it's up to you. He been released from the feds. It's all in your hands for me to be able to hug my dad and introduce him to his grandchildren before he leaves this earth. We don't know how much time he got left. That's the biggest thing about this. Human life. People make mistakes in their youth, but they could be redeemed. They could be redeemed. And I think this brother has been more than redeemed. Just by the things that the moves that he's made, disassociating himself from any gang activity, any of that. I think this will serve as a shining example, and we can possibly get more brothers back on the streets that deserve a second chance. You know what I mean? But it's up to the governor, man, to make the call, man. Maybe if we put a little pressure on them in the community, if we could get together, hopefully, we could probably put some pressure on them to make that happen for their family, man. It's been 5-6 decades. At some point, redemption is warranted. But hey, it's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. We're going to do some part 2s, 3s, and 4s to this, hopefully. We make some people, speak their mind, drop it off in the comment section. Hey, man, we love y'all. Voices for the Voiceless. Until next time, we should see you soon. Peace and blessings.